On the 30th of May 2024, Namjoon closed his story with the album Right Place, Wrong Person with the music video Domodachi, which is an ode to his path as it highlights each up and down he went through. However, as the big art lover that Namjoon is, it was easy to identify one of his possible main inspirations for this music video, the movie Monsters 2023 directed by Hirokazu Kurita. When these two aspects of the story come together, we realize that the music video is much more beyond the story of a young boy. It becomes a homage paid to that version of himself which he identified as a monster back then. In the music video, we clearly see a younger version of himself, being chosen as the one who is allowed to walk forward, and there he discovers the truth and the dark depth of reality. I say the one being chosen because there is a lyric in Wildflower from Indigo where he implies that everything that has happened to him is a simple occurrence. In the movie, the boys find this secret nook where they hide from the world, eventually hiding during a storm and being reborn by escaping from the world that was pointing at them. This is my interpretation of the end of the movie, because essentially it has an open ending, but I think the rain is a main point of reference for sustaining their possible rebirth, no matter in this world or another. Maybe his love for music was meant to be his refugee, and he walked confidently inside in order to pursue that dream, but what he found was something else. As we notice from the music video, the place he arrived looks more like a hole or a cavern, a place of mystery, hardships, and trails, where he is confronted with mischievous and strange requests or phenomenons of society. I also think about the possibility of him implying that this road made him a monster. After all, it is something predominant in his first album mixtape from 2015, having also a song, and it was his first stage name, Rap Monster. I think it might be homage to those times, or to that boy who thought that he could impose himself as the monster in front of the entire rap scene, and therefore walked confidently forward. But what he meant was actually the monster inside him, and the monsters of the world. Throughout the music video, we see him being led to different places, or people coming to help him. This can be easily understood as all the people that have helped him through tough times Bangtan, and the choices that weren't entirely his. At the end of the music video, we see him finally being able to escape, returning back to where nothing changed. This makes me think of other lyrics from Wildflower. We see that, while escaping, he is being helped by another younger boy. Again, this might be a reference to the movie Monsters, but we could also interpret this as the parts of himself he had to sacrifice in order to find himself and become who he is today, most probably, especially his childhood. Moreover, taking into consideration the fact that this album is about him expressing himself beyond what his persona of RM from BTS allows him, his escape and his return is also a victory to himself and an ode to that younger version of himself who sacrificed itself for these moments. In the lyrics mentioned before, he says that one day he shall return to that starting place where he once left. And if we take into consideration that this music video is the last piece of work coming out in the context of his album, through which he was able to find himself and comfort his true self, how he mentioned in the album review with Hyman that he wrote this album without thinking about his role as a BTS member, he was finally able to find himself and therefore returned to his starting place. Maybe not entirely ready to take again the lead when coming back, but hopefully with a better sense of himself and more comfortable than before. The fact that he turns back and runs again into the tunnel makes me also think of the hero's journey, more specifically Ying's, because they're one of the last stages is a potential new call to adventure. Although not so explicitly explained, we can understand that through all the tough times presented in the music video, he did a journey of self-discovery. Especially because he started it with something he loves alongside with music and poetry, his bicycle and means of transport being, most of the times, metaphors for life, and respectively its journey. But in this context, the bicycle can also be a reference to music and poetry, which initiated him on this journey because they basically helped him walk this path. In the same video with him, and he said that this album represents his new chapter as RM. And maybe after finishing this chapter, he will have to go back to his unchangeable fate and keep running, keep facing new adventures that will further lead him to something grander, but also heavier. Summing up everything we talked about above, this music video sums up so beautifully and truthfully the essence of right place, wrong person, and the path he has taken in order to reach this point. He has found himself but never forgot about that side of himself that brought him here. A monster or not, he realized that what hides behind it is not as horrendous and scary as what the world has shown him. At the same time, he is aware of the unspoken duty, which ways he feels, and so he runs again, but this time, more sure of himself. Thank you so much for staying until the end. Discussions or questions about lyrics are always more than welcomed in the comments. I would also love to know what you think about this one. Let's enjoy their art together. Abba Bingo.